All right, welcome to the video. I am Eric Gamez. I am one of the founders of GGS Consulting, and in this video we're just going to walk through the P&L template that we've created that is completely free on our website, available for download. And so what this is meant to be is essentially a system to be able to categorize all our income and all our expenses if we don't have QuickBooks. So this might be for those founders or business owners that are just starting out, or those business owners that have been around for a while and just don't invest in QuickBooks. And so let's go ahead and get started here. As you can see, the first tab here is the Start Here tab, and that just gives a little brief overview of what this Excel workbook is meant to do and how to use it. It gives a what this is and what this does not do, and then just some quick notes. The bread and butter of this Excel document is in this Transactions tab, so we're going to go ahead and click there. And as you can see, there's transactions that have already been put in for the month of June as a sample, but we're going to go ahead and put in some for July just so that we can kind of get a feel for how this works. So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom of where we have all our entries, and you'll see that there are 7 or 8 columns here where we can enter information. So in this first column, we're going to enter the date. So today is July 4th, 2026. And let's say we want to record some income that we got paid for. So let's say we did a website design. We're just going to go ahead and enter that. And then we're going to click this drop down and hit the category that this corresponds to. So website design. And let's say that we got paid $650 for that, and we got paid through the bank. Let's do one more. And let's say that we spent some money on staplers, and we're going to find again the category that matches this the most. So you'll see there's a few that have been already set up. For the most part, the main ones should be there. If there's anything that is not in there, you can just hit other expenses. And so we're going to just select supplies for this one. And you'll see that this column D, is for those expenses that are, or excuse me, the income, the money that's coming into the bank account or the business. But since this is something that's flowing out, we're going to put it in column E. So let's say that we spent about, I don't know, let's say $30 on that. And we paid with card. So we hit that drop down and select card. So once we have all our transactions put in for the rest of the month, we go into our profit and loss statement. So that is, this tab is where everything flows into, so that we can kind of get a clear financial picture of our business. So what you can see here is that $650 revenue has been recorded for that month of July, and that $30 expense has also been included in here. So as you see, when more things get filled up here, we have a more clear picture of our business. So for the month of June, we see that we spent $85 on advertising, we spent $500 on contractors, and so on and so forth. So this really helps us get a better understanding of our business so that we can make decisions on what expenses to keep and what different services are doing for our business, so that we can try and prioritize the different revenue streams that our business might have. So let's say website design is something that is the bulk of our business. We might invest into that full time as opposed to doing other different things in our business. So it just really helps us prioritize and get a better sense of how our business is doing, as opposed to just looking at what our bank account is doing, because sometimes that doesn't tell us the full picture. Sometimes we may have money in the bank account, but we don't have an idea of how much we owe people, how much people owe us. And so having a profit and loss report is really beneficial to be able to actually understand what is happening in our business. Obviously, this is a lot easier through QuickBooks because it connects to our bank account, and we're able to bring the transactions in a lot easier and set up rules. But if we don't have that, this is a great alternative, and it's free, so that definitely helps. And so after we look at our profit and loss statement, we can look at our dashboard report here on this tab. And what this does is kind of gives us an overview in a more visual format of how our business is doing. So again, we had $650 coming in. we had $3,000 that are coming out. So obviously we're operating at a loss here. So this really helps us set those alarm bells off to be able to understand that we need to change something in our business sooner than later because we're currently losing money. So what we would do then is we would look at these categories and see where our expense is going and determining what needs to be cut out, right? So we might look at, are we paying our contractors too much? Are we paying too much in advertising? And obviously these numbers are made up numbers and it is different for every type of business, but this is a great starting point for us to be able to determine what needs to come out of our business, what we need to do to bring more money into our business, and get a better clarity on our business there. So, and you'll also see that these charts really help understand our business in a visual format. And so for July, we could see all our money coming in, we could see all our money that's coming out. And then in this chart, we're able to see all our expenses so that we can really see which ones are the ones that are the expenses that our business is spending the most on in a visual format. And it's very easy to see that these three are the ones that are costing our business the most. And then everything else is a lot smaller. So definitely helps in that regard in a more visual format. And then we have our setup tab here. So this is where we set up our different categories. So depending on what type of business, we can say, like, if we're a landscaping business, we change this to landscaping revenue and maybe yard cleanup. And then everything else can kind of go in the other services. Again, this is meant to be a very basic template. If there are additional services that you want to include in this, definitely reach out to us and we can add these to the template. But for now, these are kind of the very bare minimum categories that we need to have a somewhat of a good idea for our business to understand how we're doing there.